The garden lunch the show had scheduled with Robyn Brown, her children, and Cody was meant as a tranquil foil to increasing public concern about the family's behavior on the program. Dayton Brown, Robyn's oldest son, had never minded being on the show. Something within him just broke that day, around lunchtime. A three-member team came, a sound technician, a cameraman, and an assistant producer, only to be met with tension thick enough to coat everything. Dayton, refusing so much as a friendly smile or nod, wouldn't wear a mic and started pacing the back porch. When the cameraman politely tried to reframe the shot to capture him, Dayton snapped. His voice became coarse, beastly, trembly, and low. He snarled, "You're no longer filming me. She is being poisoned by you. All of us are being poisoned by you." The next thing anybody knew, he was rushing them. The boom mic collided with a chair. The cameraman's face bumped against the edge of a granite planter as he fell backward. Blood muddied the lens. Robyn screamed. But rather than reaching for Dayton, Cody flew outside, turned not to soothe but to assault, his eyes ablaze with anger. "Why the hell didn't you turn off the camera sooner?" Hello everyone, thanks for returning to my channel TLC's Sister Wives Secret. I'm Olivia Flicks. Don't forget to press the thumbs up button. The video never aired. TLC's upper management, in a private video conference conducted behind closed studio doors in Burbank, voted unanimously Cody Brown was no longer an option for the network. Not as a father figure, not as a narrator, not as a personality. Julia Wright, the longest-running executive producer on the show, read the verdict in a tone so frigid there was no room for argument. "Cody, we're finished. We will not spin another soap opera around your ego that's blowing up. Now that a crew member is in the hospital, you've turned this family into a war zone." Cody didn't respond. He sat stiffly in his Arizona home office, surrounded by framed family portraits and knockoff leather furnishings. His jaw was clenched so tight it looked like he might grind his teeth into powder. "This is impossible," he growled. "Oh, but we've already done it," Julia replied. The screen went black. Hours later, Robyn caught him slumped over in his chair, his eyes blankly staring into space. The television was on but muted. A half-empty bottle of whiskey, sealed for years, lay next to him on the desk. When he finally turned and looked at her, his eyes were crazed. "They killed me. My legacy's been executed." Robyn didn't sit. She didn't take his hand. She stood, calm in a way that felt foreign. "You ruined your own reputation, Cody," she said softly. "You allowed the show to go rotten internally. You pulled in the children to your mess, and now this has broken Dayton again and again." Cody sat up with a start. "You're attacking me now?" "I'm walking away, Cody." Her words rang out. Initially, they didn't compute. Robyn, the one wife who'd never challenged him, was walking away. "Dayton's coming with me. We're going to St. George. Don't call. Don't follow us with a camera. This isn't about your redemption arc anymore. My family needs healing." "Robyn, don't do this to me. You can't." She turned her gaze away. "This wasn't something I did. You did this. Now live in the house you built." Meanwhile, in Utah, Meri Brown was secretly getting ready for a revolution. She'd been expecting this and wasn't shocked by Cody's abrupt dismissal. Meri had already started writing a statement before word of Dayton's outburst even reached her. She hadn't been idle or in the dark. For the first time in more than a decade, she had stopped trying to maintain the family's reputation and instead began getting ready to tear it down. Her secretly written autobiography, 3 years in progress, had developed into a manuscript filled with financial revelations, infidelities, and emotional abandonment. Yet for Meri, mere publication wasn't sufficient. She desired camera time. TLC, desperate to save what was left of the franchise, offered her sweeping creative latitude for a 6-part tell-all reality series. It was to be naked, uncensored, and brutal. Meri didn't hesitate. Her first interview was filmed in a modest studio just outside Salt Lake City. The setup was simple: a wooden chair, soft lighting, and a small table beside her, stacked with old contracts, printed messages, and a manila envelope labeled Robyn's Deals. Meri sat with her back to the camera and began to speak, calm, composed, deliberate. "They told my story for years. Now I'm telling the truth." She also disclosed that way back in season 8, Robyn had quietly made a secret deal with TLC. It guaranteed her pay and airtime based on emotionally driven episodes, especially ones involving her children or depicting her as a victim. The other wives never knew. Instead, they were tricked into thinking Robyn's spotlight was just what view I remember when they filmed my entire my entire segment for the first time, Meri said. I shot it at a grief retreat. I'd never been that vulnerable on film before. When the show actually ran, I didn't even get a credit. There followed a path of subtle maneuverings in succession, Robyn's use of shell corporations, Kody titling properties to her, and Meri discovering unpaid bills from production companies for days when she had been under contract to work. Then she shattered the internet with this bomb. Robyn Brown is not this fragile character. She's a player. And Kody Brown was her grunt soldier. Within hours, clips from Meri's sit-down interview ignited social media. Reddit threads exploded. TikTok was flooded with split-screen reactions. Former viewers returned in droves to watch the series live. The second episode unearthed even more damning content. Email exchanges between Kody and producers, voicemails of Robyn begging for narrative control, and audio of Kody berating Christine for being too independent and jeopardizing the show. By the third episode, TLC assumed a larger role. With Meri, Janelle, and Christine at the forefront, the show was formally renamed Sister Wives Reclaimed. Then the gargantuan Times Square billboard, Meri herself, wind whipping through her hair, arms crossed. The slogan, "The Real Wife, Meri Brown, She's Done Waiting." Premiering June 1st, and Kody, he stepped out of the spotlight. His once bustling Flagstaff home, filled with production vans and equipment, grew eerily quiet. He was spotted reportedly disheveled, muttering to himself at isolated gas stations. He began a podcast. It ran 3 episodes before it expired. He tried YouTube. Comments were disabled within a day. Robyn declined all interviews. Dayton entered therapy. Rumors of lawsuits flew fast, spurred by rumors of sealed court files on production liabilities. A previous post-producer speculated on ownership of never-seen footage of the Vegas period. Meri had already begun drafting a statement when word of Dayton's rant even reached her. She wasn't sitting idle or in the dark. For the first time in over a decade, she had abandoned efforts at preserving the family image and instead set about preparing to pull it down. Her closet-written memoir, 3 years in the making, was now a manuscript packed with money revelations, betrayals, and emotional abandonment. Publication, though, was not satisfactory to Meri. She wanted screen time. TLC, wanting to salvage what remained of the franchise, presented her with broad creative freedom for a 6-part tell-all series. It would be unvarnished, uncensored, and unflinching. Meri didn't bat an eye. Her first interview was filmed in a modest studio just outside Salt Lake City. The setup was simple: a wooden chair, soft lighting, and a small table beside her, stacked with old contracts, printed messages, and a manila envelope labeled Robyn's Deals. Meri sat with her back to the camera and began to speak, calm, composed, deliberate. They told my story for years. Now I'm telling the truth. She revealed that way back in season 8, Robyn had secretly entered into a personal deal with TLC. It ensured her pay and screen time when it came to emotionally exploitative episodes, namely those featuring her children or portraying her as a victim. The other wives were not informed. Instead, they were duped into believing Robyn's spotlight was simply what fans wanted. I remember the first time they cut my entire segment, Meri said. It was filmed at a grief retreat. I'd never been so vulnerable on camera. As the episode continued, I wasn't even given credit. A series of subtle slights followed. Robyn's use of shell companies, Kody placing deeds to property in her name, and Meri finding days' worth of unreimbursed production bills that she had been contractually bound to shoot. Then she dropped the bomb that wrecked the internet. Robyn Brown isn't some weakling victim. She's a tactician, and Kody Brown was her ground soldier. Within hours, clips from Meri's sit-down interview ignited social media. Reddit threads exploded. TikTok was flooded with split-screen reactions. Former viewers returned in droves to watch the series live. The second episode unearthed even more damning content. email exchanges between Cody and producers, voicemails of Robyn begging for narrative control, and audio of Cody berating Christine for being too independent and jeopardizing the show. By episode 3, TLC had an even bigger role. With Meri, Janelle, and Christine taking the lead, the show was officially rebranded Sister Wives Reclaimed. Then came the ginormous Times Square billboard, Meri alone, wind blowing through her hair, arms crossed. The slogan was, "The real wife, Meri Brown. She's done waiting." Premiering June 1st, ears wanted. And Cody? He faded away. His once busy Flagstaff house, where there had always been production vans and gear cluttering the front yard, grew eerily still. He was spotted, reportedly unkempt, muttering to himself at out-of-the-way gas stops. He began a podcast. It ran for 3 installments and then withered away. He tried YouTube. Comments were shut down within a day. Robyn refused all interviews. Dayton began attending therapy. Rumors about suits were rampant, driven by speculation about closed court documents associated with production liabilities. One former post-producer taunted ownership of never-seen tape from the Vegas period. In a Las Vegas locked storage unit, Cody had once made shocking confessions about the wives and the power he wielded as the star. Allegedly, TLC shelled out a 6-figure sum to keep those tapes quiet. But the leaks had already begun to seep through. There's more. Sister Wives' Janelle Brown is now living a peaceful and drama-free life. After years of financial troubles and sharing her life with Cody Brown and his other former wives, Robyn, Christine, and Meri, Janelle has finally found stability. Even though she has raised 6 children with Cody and been a doting matriarch to them, her work went unnoticed. Instead, Cody would constantly reprimand her and even accused her of being unfaithful. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Cody imposed strict rules on Janelle and the children, pushing their already strained relationship to the breaking point. By 2021, Janelle realized, like Christine before her, that it was time to move out from under him. Despite her financially unstable situation, she began house hunting and legally ended her spiritual marriage to Cody in 2022. Janelle took a daring step and purchased land in North Carolina near her married daughter's house. In 2024, she officially relocated from Flagstaff, Arizona, to begin anew. To settle her finances and lead a more peaceful life, she also initiated several business endeavors. Back in 2018, Janelle, along with Cody, Meri, and Christine, had poured substantial money into acquiring 14 acres of Coyote Pass land with dreams of building a community together. But those dreams unraveled once the other wives split from Cody. Initially, Cody hesitated to return Janelle and Meri's fair share of the investment. Lastly, after years of procrastination, he sold Coyote Pass in 2025 and gave Janelle a $35,000 settlement, certainly more than twice what she initially invested. As a result, Janelle's financial situation in 2025 looks much more robust. While she had long had issues which had prevented her from building her own home, those issues are no longer standing in her way. She owns a big plot of land in North Carolina and is converting it into a secluded haven. In April 2025, she surprised her fans by announcing that construction of her home had started. "My house is gradually taking shape," she wrote excitedly. Janelle is clearly proud of her new growth. Her self-esteem has skyrocketed, and it has given her the strength to live life on her terms. She's also far more assertive than she was. Earlier this year, she stated that 2025 was her year to eliminate toxic influences and toxic environments from her life. Thus far, Janelle has been able to keep that peace. As her businesses, such as Tata Farms and her t-shirt company, gain momentum, she's become a beacon for strength and rebirth. Many people have been inspired by her story. Meanwhile, Robyn Brown's victim-playing skills and out-of-control hypocrisy have been in sharp focus during season 19 of Sister Wives. While still legally married to Cody Brown, and never actually getting the plural marriage she once pretended to want, Robyn continues to make drama on demand. Season 19 has made it clear that Robyn's skills at manipulating the narrative haven't faded one bit. Even with everything going in her favor, it isn't enough to have Robyn truly satisfied. Since the time she joined Cody's plural family in 2010, along with Christine, Janelle, and Meri Brown, Robyn has consistently tried to keep pace with the older wives. But the fact that her marriage to Cody is so much younger than the decades long marriages he once had to the other three has only succeeded in creating familial tension. Robyn had tried for years to fit into the already established dynamic, but now, after being a part of the process of chasing out her sister wives, she's having more and more difficulty living with what she's done. In all likelihood, she and Cody have talked about why his other marriages failed as they've constructed life together. Though the women were not involved romantically, the dynamics of the family still required them to cooperate intimately, if not as one large harmonious entity, then at least as a passable looking team. Robyn did develop relationships with Christine, Janelle, and Meri over time, but often found herself feeling like an outsider or someone who did not entirely belong. Her early behavior in the family, however misunderstood, was alarming, especially since Cody's decision to bring her into the fold disrupted a delicate balance the Browns had spent years creating. Robyn's presence made waves. Her actions, frequently casting herself as the victim, have long been scrutinized by fans and family members alike. In truth, Robyn has always been the one who plays the victim while subtly shifting the blame. The more familiar she grew with the Browns, the more Robyn acknowledged her friendships with the other wives were more transactional than she'd originally anticipated. She'd entered the marriage hoping for something very different from what she received. Though she did not want the others, Christine, Janelle, or Meri, to have an opinion regarding her and Cody, she had no problem giving her opinion about them. As the pandemic hit and the family's routine shifted, Robyn spoke up more, was less reserved in her criticism of Cody's former wives. While she'd gossiped behind closed doors for years, now she was an integral player in the dramas erupting in the family. The stress of sister wives eventually became too much for everyone involved. The recent seasons have been the most emotionally exhausting to date. Despite Robyn insisting she intended to be part of a plural family, now she removes herself from the messier elements of that vow. Through it all, Robyn and Cody's bond has grown stronger, even when the other marriages crumbled. His marriage to her succeeded because it had a solid foundation, but that foundation came at the cost of his relationships with the other wives. Not long after Robyn entered the picture, Christine and Cody's marriage hit new lows, and Meri and Janelle slowly but surely moved on. Despite being with her first husband, David Jessup, for over 10 years and knowing what heartbreak feels like, Robyn has been much harder on Christine, Janelle, and Meri than she ever has on Cody. She's criticized them for leaving the family, but hasn't looked at her own divorce in the same critical light. Robyn habitually portrays herself as the victim, whether she's interacting with Cody, the children, or his former wives. And though she, along with the rest of the Browns, has had her share of rough moments on sister wives, she dramatizes her plight to the extent that it tends to appear worse than it actually is. In recent seasons of the show, Robyn still isn't shy about painting herself as the perpetual victim, even when the real drama has been far worse for Cody, Christine, Janelle, and Meri. Audiences have come to view Robyn as someone who, in any given situation, finds a way to garner sympathy and paint herself as worse off than anyone else. Whereas Cody may be suffering due to rejection, Robyn is still in a long-term, committed relationship with somebody who loves her. Instead of internalizing the divorces as personal failures, she must view them as painful chapters for Christine, Janelle, and Meri, not her. Cody, for his part, has made it clear both on Sister Wives and long before that not all of his children hold the same place in his heart. Despite trying to present a united front, fans have witnessed the way he is so inconsistent in lavishing love and attention on all of his children. His actions still disappoint fans who hoped for more. Cody Brown's preferential treatment of Robyn's children and Robyn's manipulation of that behavior has never sat well with longtime Sister Wives viewers. Despite her speeches about togetherness, Robyn always seemed to behave as if her children were being shunned by the rest of the family. Yet her children from a prior marriage were immediately welcomed and treated by Cody as if they were his own children. However, driven by a need to protect her children's status, Robyn has relentlessly pressured Cody to prioritize them, sometimes at the expense of his relationships with his other children. Though Robyn typically comes across as Cody's most sympathetic and compassionate wife, Her behavior repeatedly contradicts that impression. A good example was when Christine's daughter Isabel was compelled to undergo severe spinal surgery to fix scoliosis. While some of the family members were supportive, Robyn would not go, citing COVID-19 regulations. Years earlier, nonetheless, she had been wholly supportive and present when her biological son, Dayton, had surgery, highlighting a stark contrast for how she treats the Brown children. Though pandemic panic was warranted, Robyn had also announced her own harsh quarantine on social media, so she may have been able to show some solidarity with Isabel. Her absence was a clear demonstration of selective empathy. Her insistence that all the children are all important has time and again been discredited by what she actually does, especially when they are hers. Robyn is also a vocal supporter of sexual purity, both for her children and in public discourse with Sister Wives viewers. Nonetheless, this stance frequently seems hypocritical in the context of what has come before. Divorced after a 10-year first marriage, Robyn's life experience doesn't always match the conservative moral framework she espouses today. Her inclination to practice a hard-line set of values without encouraging open discussion has been criticized. Rather than encouraging thoughtful, respectful conversation with her children about their future choices, she enforces her ideals and makes little room for their viewpoints. Her stern and sometimes sermonizing temperament only added fuel to the fire of being victimized as Robyn, the show's villain. While Cody heaped accolades upon Robyn during much of the latter half of Sister Wives season 19, one would guess at a first glance that there is more to the richness of their happiness than meets the eye. Robyn became an official member of the Brown family in 2014 in a spiritual union with Kody, Meri, Janelle, and Christine. While all the marriages were based on religion, Cody and Robyn's soon differed. His relationship with them overshadowed his relationships with the other wives, causing jealousy and tension. As the family moved from Las Vegas to Flagstaff, their once close image deteriorated. Family gatherings became the exception, and the wives lived scattered around the area. Cody's time was largely devoted to Robyn, something which really picked up when the COVID-19 pandemic erupted, and the two of them basically quarantined with their kids. As Cody's other unions broke down, first with Christine in 2021, and later with Janelle and Meri, his bond with Robyn became tighter. However, the two needed to work through their introduction to monogamy, and by the beginning of season 19, things were not stable in their relationship. However, after the mid-season hiatus, Cody and Robyn appeared renewed and more intimate than ever. This renewed connection was highlighted following their daughter Aurora's baptism. Reflecting on their spiritual and romantic journey, Cody declared, "I'm a fool for my woman," even comparing Aurora's religious commitment to his devotion to Robyn. In a throwback clip from their wedding, Robyn described Cody as her soulmate, a sentiment he said has stayed with him ever since. He gushed about their enduring bond, even noting that their kids admired how openly affectionate their parents were. Even if Cody and Robyn's love is real, the soulmate experience has stretched further apart the rifts in the family's polygamy regime. Cody himself admitted that Robyn's wedding day remark has haunted him from that day till now. Post your comments in the section below, and don't forget to subscribe for additional updates like this one. Thanks for watching.